Hello, viewers. I welcome you to this episode of your program, The Platform. Remember, on The Platform, we delve into numerous life's challenges that hinder us from fulfilling God's purpose for our lives. Today, in alignment with this recent celebration of St. Valentine's Day on February 14th, we've dedicated this episode to individuals or couples facing marital difficulties, exploring discussions concerning separation, divorce, and their profound impacts. So, with me in the studio is a wonderful sister of mine, an international award-winning motivational speaker, a certified life and sex coach, and a social media influencer with focus on life and sex coaching, relationships, and marriages. My guest is extremely passionate about issues affecting women and families. She is an avid change agent in reversing the status quo of women's marginalization in modern societies. She holds an advanced practice degree as a mental health nurse practitioner from Walden University and is currently a doctoral student at Walden University, Minnesota, in the US of A. Before you meet my guest, let's quickly take this breather and I will be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. I know you are so anxious to know my guest with that bio. She's actually here with me in the studios, and I'm going to leave it to her now to introduce herself to us. You're welcome to the platform.
Thank you very much.
So, my people out there, my viewers will want to know you.
All right, this is one question that I sometimes don't know how to answer because humility, and sometimes when they read my bio, I'm like, wait, was they talking about me? Well, my name is Seun Obajolu. I would like to start. I'm a mother of four amazing daughters. I always like to start because I think those are like one of my proudest things that I created through God. So I'm a mother of four girls. I am a mental health nurse practitioner. I delved into that. I'm guessing we're going to talk about that later.
Yes, sure.
I am a motivational speaker. I used to be very passionate. I'm still very passionate about talking about issues related to marriage, relationships, and women emancipation. When we hear that, we get a little nervous. But again, we're gonna talk about that also. What else? What else is there to talk about? I'm a social media influencer. I talk about topics, which is why I'm very excited to be on this show. I like to talk about topics that people don't like to talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
Because those topics need to be discussed because they have an effect on our everyday lives and marriages and relationships and families, and we need to talk about them. So I'll stop there for now. Well, a doctoral student, I'm very proud of that too. Currently working on my doctorate degree also in mental health.
Oh, yeah. So, viewers, you have to stay on your seat glued today because Seun is loaded and she's ready to pour to us. So, Seun, I know you are passionate. Well, let me say we are passionate about different things. And I know you are so passionate about issues affecting women and families. Is this because you are a female, or what drives that passion? I just want to have an idea.
Well, we could talk about the bias and say it's because of my gender. However, I understand the power that women wield when it comes to both marriage, relationships. Especially, I like marriage because, again, with everything we talk about, the family has a vital role to play in the society. And I also understand the power we women wield. We're blessed with wisdom, but a lot of women don't even understand the wisdom we carry.
Why do you say that?
Why do I say women don't understand it? Because I feel like a lot of women currently misuse that power. They don't even understand it, and they're not taking advantage of it. The Bible talks a lot about the wisdom of women, and I think we need to start delving more into that and applying that more. And I think it would make a lot of difference. So I am very passionate because I know that the power that we carry as women, and it can be used negatively and positively. So I'm hoping we can steer women to use that power more positively.
Positively, yeah. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Yeah.
So, I understand that at a point in time, you had gone through some stuffs in life. I know life happens.
Life
So you've
happens.
gone through separation and divorce.
Mhm.
So what were some of the early signs that led you to consider taking that part, divorce or separation?
All right, I like to. That's a very sensitive
Very
part of my
sensitive,
life.
I know.
However, healing has happened, and I can talk more about it because I'm hoping I can use that experience to educate a lot
yes,
more
yes.
people. When we hear the word divorce, it's not, especially with the culture, religion, it's not readily accepted, right? However, things happen. I grew up in a family where my parents were married for a long time before my dad passed, God rest his soul. So that's all I ever knew. They were married for 25 years. And even at that, my mom was still, she was so proud of her marriage. She still wears her wedding ring till today, 20 years after.
Even after the papa is gone.
Yes, so you can imagine that's the kind of tradition, that's what I imbibed, and I look forward to it. And I think I spoke about it earlier today. I got married young at the age of 21 because I saw something I wanted to positive, I wanted to emulate. So yeah, when I did go into marriage, I was excited. I met this young man. It was a testament at one point in my life. When I do look back at it now, um, I do have some lessons to learn. We met and he proposed to me 3 days after, and we were married 10 months after.
No, wait. He proposed to you 3 days after you met?
Yes, we met at his niece's wedding, and he saw me, and he was like, yeah, we had some interactions, and he said, "I want to marry you."
Oh wow. Just
and
like
I looked
that.
at him like, what is wrong with this one? But anyway, something about him caught my attention. And again, maybe because I was so into I want to get married, I went ahead. And honestly, when I do think back about at it, it's not like it was all bad, because again, that's another mistake we make. It wasn't all negative. There were some red flags, and that's where I like to talk about red flags. Red flags are there. There are some that red flags are red flags. It's telling you stop. There are there are yellow flags. Those ones you can compromise on. And we all have flags. Every human has flags. Yes. Okay? Sure. Nobody's perfect. Nobody. But you see those red flags? They are flags that are telling you stop. Stop. Because what happens is when you go ahead with it, later down in life, those things will be inflated. Especially when the honeymoon phase is over, life is happening. Yeah. Those red flags become something that stress you. So yeah, there were some things that I saw. Temperament. Okay. His temperament compared to mine. I thought I could work it because I'm a calm person. Even though my personality on social media is very boisterous, yeah. But I'm a very calm, laid back person, yeah. And I I stay away from any kind of problems. But I thought I could tame him. Nah, it eventually overwhelmed me. Oh wow. Yeah, so overwhelmed me, and it got out of hand. The anger, maybe if he went for anger management, classes, he would have helped us or something. But yeah.
All right. Thank you, Seun, for telling us a little bit about that. So, coming from the Black African perspective,
yes, ma'am.
How did you navigate the emotional toll of divorce?
It was hard. It was hard because, again, we talked about divorce and how it's not readily accepted in Black families, Black African American, Black family, the church.
It's not accepted.
It's not accepted. Yeah. So you deal with that you deal with that shame. You deal with that self-criticism. You're criticizing yourself. You deal with the fact that people ostracize you. They keep away from you. They might not even say things to your face. So it was hard. I went into hiding.
Hiding.
It didn't look like it was hiding, but it was, because again, I was going through the turmoil, and then known as a marriage relationship coach. Oh, wow. Who went through divorce.
Oh, so you were already doing this before that happened?
I was doing that while in marriage. I was. And this is I will give you guys that because I will still plan to talk about it in the future, but because I respect you both so much. There were times when I was doing those live shows, People didn't know the battle I was
You
dealing
were
with.
going through a lot. Wow.
Sometimes I'll be there and I talk about sensitive topics. I was not necessarily, maybe I was talking about myself, but not really. And then after, I have to go deal with the anger because he's upset because most times he's watching. And he'll go talk to my mom. Do you hear your daughter? You hear what she's saying on live? And I'm like, oh God. And then I have to go, beg him, babe, I'm sorry, pacify. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. So yeah, I was already talking about marriage. So when divorce happened, I had to deal with the emotions. I actually didn't talk about it for a long time because I was one person who put my marriage out there and people saw me as a role model. Oh, your marriage. Oh my God, I want your marriage to be like mine. So when divorce happened, I tried to hide it or, I didn't want people to know. First, I moved away from this environment that I knew people knew me at, just again to keep my head sane. And then I didn't talk about it on social media. Maybe people noticed because I wasn't posting much pictures, but I wasn't saying anything. And then one day I remember I was at a travel assignment and when I woke up, my phone was going off. What happened? What happened? Everybody's like, oh my God, sis, really? We just saw your husband. Your husband posted a picture. Your husband is married? I'm like, oh my God. That was the day I had to deal with it.
Oh my. So how did you handle it?
Everything, all the emotions that I've been trying to hide and keep strong just came out. Thankfully, I was by myself. I didn't have my children there because they were a vital part of me not breaking down because I had to protect them. They were looking onto me for strength, which is one thing. If there's any lessons I'm going to talk about, before we consider divorce, we need to consider everything else because of those children. And just so people don't hear me wrongly, I'm not saying stay in a toxic marriage because that does more damage to
More
those
harm, yeah.
children. However, we are the adults in this thing. So if we understand that whatever behaviors we have that can lead to divorce or can lead to a toxic environment, we need to work on it. Make those children priority because they deal with it. They deal with the aftermath. So after divorce, I was trying everything because I know they were dealing with the pain, could not talk about it. I had to stay strong. So most of the time, I was walking around more like a robot. I tell people they don't understand because I couldn't even process the emotions. Oh, and I had my mother living with me.
Okay, I was about asking that. Was mom there all along?
Mom lived with us. My mom lived with us. And of course, coming from the traditional African, you don't divorce.
Exactly.
So I didn't tell my mom I was
You have to
leaving.
persevere.
Yeah. So she saw everything that was happening. And she, most of the time, and I'll say this publicly because I know people want to know, oh, what role did your mother play? My mother never supported me. My mother always took his side. My mother will go beg him most times, like, because she's like, just, a woman, you have to pacify. And when it got to the point, even when it became physical and I told her about it, she still didn't expect me to leave.
Wow.
So I didn't tell her when I was leaving.
Okay.
I'm going to
You
say.
didn't tell her when you were leaving?
No.
Yet she was staying with you?
I told her I got another job in a different state.
So she just followed you like that?
No, because we did not act like so at the time, I didn't, and I'm gonna say this, I didn't think I was gonna get divorced. I thought I was gonna be separated for a while. Again, that's the thing with divorce. Divorce is not an easy option. When people hear people get divorced, automatically they start judging you, but it's never an easy decision to get through. Even with everything that happened, I didn't think I was going to get divorced. I just knew that I needed to take a break.
Like space
and space. Yeah. So I told, he knew I wanted to do that. Even him, I said, okay, at that point, I found a job in Texas, let's go try Texas out. So I told my mom, we're moving to Texas. She's like, what happened? 3 months? I said, So it was after we moved that she realized, but even at that, she will still secretly go behind me and talk to him.
Oh, wow.
Because she was still not wanting us to get divorced.
Okay, so down the line, how does she feel now?
She has seen progress. She's still like every mom. I know she feels really bad for me. She wishes it didn't happen. She says it in a lot of ways, like it shouldn't have been you. But she stays strong for me also, which is why she's my pillar of support. I don't know what I would have done
Without
her in
Please
those
don't
times.
make me cry. Some
Yeah,
of
I'm
us don't have
sorry.
mothers, please.
I'm trying not to cry myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all right. Thank you very much. So when life happens, we all gasp for support. All right. So apart from mom, what other support systems did you find most helpful during this period of your life?
Sorry, I'm gonna have to take a minute. I've never really spoken about it like this, so yeah. So please, can you repeat that question?
Just
Sorry.
breathe in and breathe out.
Yeah.
All right. So I said okay, we all understand that life happens and certain things are beyond us. We can't control them.
Yeah.
So apart from mom, that stood as a pillar of support,
Right.
what are the support systems and resources were you able to lean on during this season?
All right. So it will be very unfair to say there were not people there for me. There were some people, even though I stayed away from people, I had to for my sanity. I didn't. A lot of times, I didn't even want to answer questions. I knew when people called, they want to ask you what happened, but I didn't want to talk about it. But there were a few people who, one or two people,
It's too strong, right?
who stood strong behind me. Some people didn't have to ask if I needed support. They came through. Financially in some ways. I don't think I ever, which is one thing I'm grateful for, and that's one thing people don't talk about. There's the financial part of it.
Yes.
You were a two-income family, and then because divorce happened, it separates, and then depending on who left, one person might have to carry the burden, because let's not forget, divorce is ugly. After dealing with the emotions, there's anger. And anger will lead to different things, and people will probably not want to be involved in it. So there were some people. People looked out. Oh, there were times when I lost my job in the process because 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And the COVID time, even though I'm a healthcare professional, I lost my job at the time. So some people came through job referrals. So I can count one or two people. And I can count relationships that I lost too. There were some people who stayed away from me after I got divorced.
Like stigmatization.
Stigmatized, yeah. Because somehow that's another thing people don't talk about. There's this fear that, oh, I don't want you to bring your bad luck into my marriage. I don't want you to influence me, or I don't want you to influence my wife or my children. So somehow, stylishly, some people will stay away from you.
Stay away. So you said that there is always anger. You mentioned something.
Oh, there is anger.
How?
Yes, ma'am.
How does that happen?
Okay, so because there's a lot of emotions involved in separation and divorce. Anger is one emotion. You feel sadness, and there are different stages, right? There's anger because sometimes the other person might not necessarily feel, even though there's a problem, they might feel like their ego was bruised. Why did you leave? Yeah. Why do you feel the right to leave? So yeah, there will be anger, and they'll fight you. Okay, so they'll fight back. Wow. Don't think they won't fight back. Wow. And this is where it gets ugly. And this is the part that people don't talk about. It gets very ugly. Words are said. Some people take it to court. I didn't have to go through the court issue, thankfully. Thank the Lord. I still talked about that today. Oh, wow. Because I've heard of people who spend hundreds of thousands on divorce cases.
I've heard that too.
So yeah, there is anger. And there's anger because this is another sensitive part. As a mom, I wasn't going to leave without my children. But when I think back at it, and he might watch this today, there were days, and there are still days when I feel really bad that I took the children away, because you can imagine. I took the children away, and he's lonely.
Wow.
At least while I'm dealing with that, I have my kids. He didn't have nobody. But it was still the best decision.
Yeah, okay, accepted is the best decision, at least for within that season.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you took the children, did he fight back?
I don't think he was really focused on the children at first.
Okay.
He was more about trying to make the marriage work again. He wanted. I mean, it would be unfair to say he didn't beg. He tried. He tried, but this temperament. It's a very important
It's
thing.
important.
And that's why any couple, intending couple, don't ignore temperaments. When you're hearing me talk about temperaments, how is their temper?
I think it's actually a pointer to something, and
Yeah,
I try to make people also understand that whatever happens in a marriage,
yeah,
there would have been some red flags, even
Mhm.
when courtship was going
of
on.
course.
Yeah. But because we are all lovey dovey, oh my
Mhm.
God, we pretend like it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So when those things start manifesting, then
Yeah.
it's like, and I saw this, but
Mm-hmm. I saw it happening. We just make excuses for it.
excuses.
Yeah, we forget the honeymoon phase is gonna be over.
Yeah, yeah. And
It
the
will.
reality will come. The real
Mhm.
person will come, and then
Can you
that's
deal
actually
with
the
it?
real marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's okay. God will help us.
Amen.
So oftentimes when we talk about divorce and separation, we leave out the product, which I was actually talking about, the children.
Children.
Now, what impact did this season have on your children, the beautiful four girls? That's actually the first part.
Yeah. There's an impact because they grew up seeing daddy and mommy. Even though, another thing, the children are witnesses to everything that happens in that home. We might feel like they don't see.
They
They
see.
see.
They know.
You might feel they're not part of it.
They're
part of it.
Yeah.
However, it's still a mommy daddy situation.
Yes.
And then from nowhere, daddy, mommy separate.
Mhm.
They have to process the emotions also.
Mm.
And guess what? When divorce happens, while you both are also processing emotions, unfortunately, children to have a breakdown of emotions,
Yes.
now all of the emotions that were built up when the toxicity was happening, they now also have to process that and process this. It had an impact on them. My children were sad for a little bit because again I moved them from where they knew, where they grew up at. That's another thing.
To somewhere else.
To different city,
Locations,
state.
yeah.
Then of course they're dealing with daddy's no longer present. It's not mommy, and okay. So many times I had to be the therapist. Which is another reason why I could not break down, because they're looking at me as support. So if I break down,
Then
who's going to be there for them? So many times, again, this is the first time I'm talking about this. I'll drive with them and we'll just talk, we'll sing, we'll cry. They get angry. They deal with their emotions. I get mad sometimes. I scream at them, they scream, and we drive back home. So I was therapist for a long time, and I'm still therapist right now, which is why I'm thankful I have a great relationship with my children.
That's great.
But imagine somebody who does not know or have the strength for that.
Okay. So prior to now, before you becoming a mental health nurse, how were you able to address their needs throughout this transition period?
I think I already had, I consider myself a very wise woman. I'm wise and I'm very learned in the sense that I learn. I educate myself. So I had already equipped myself in some of those things, dealing with emotions, all of those things. And I find that I was already helping myself, other women, prior to even becoming a mental health professional.
Yes.
So that guided me, or that was one of my passion or driving force to even going to study mental health.
Yeah.
So I was equipped with some of that knowledge to deal with the children and deal with their emotions and help them heal. Was it easy? Nope. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat. It's not easy. Which is why, like I said, you have to put your own feelings and emotions aside. I think now that the kids are grown, another moment of transparency. I have never had to go through therapy. I think it might be time for me to finally go through therapy. Because I've been blocking things out for so long and I've never really addressed my own.
It's just in the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Like if you are pretending like it never happened. Is that it?
Yeah, you hide. How do I put this? You said it. You want to put it somewhere. Yeah. It's there. But because you have to carry on, you have to worry about them. You have to worry about their needs. You have to worry about the finances. I had to travel for 2 years. I was not home.
How did you do that?
Yes, I had to start traveling as a travel nurse. That was the only way I could financially meet the needs of the children and myself. Again, I'm talking about it. So I had to travel. So thank God for my mother. Thank God for her. So many times she was home and I was not home. And I was in school. So I was working 40 to 60 hours. I say it's hard for people to understand it, but it was happening. Again, my driving force was my children have to survive. Um, I never asked for child support. I don't get child support. Talking about it live on camera, I don't. I didn't ask for it.
Wow.
Because I was an imported bride from Nigeria.
Okay.
So there was already this narrative, and unfortunately, I was following that trend, and there was no way I could wash myself clean.
Oh.
There's this narrative that they import brides from Nigeria, bring the bride from Nigeria. She becomes a nurse. I was a nurse. They divorce their husbands so they can get child support. And when this was happening, I'm like, oh, Jesus, there's no way I'm going to wash myself clean. So I didn't press for child support. So yeah, I had to step up. So I was traveling so I could afford more, and I would travel. I'll come home once, twice a month, come home for 2 days, spend time with them. I'm gone again.
So when you leave, what do they ask you?
Who, the children?
The children.
They knew I was working. I was, it was painful. It was tough.
I see that.
I did homework on video call.
Wow.
Yeah, I will call them on video. It's really hard to be I was a cyber mom. And those times I questioned my decision. Even though it was the right thing, when I made the decision, there were times I'm like, are you sure you did the right thing? Because now, why are you putting the children through that? And I now started to use money to compensate for me not being there. So they had what they needed, but I was not physically present. But thank God for the foundation. And again, I cannot underestimate, we cannot talk too much about this. Your relationship with your children is very vital.
Very, very important.
Give access to you, and I think that helped me a lot. So I was still, even though I was not physically present, they knew to call me. Even my baby, who's 9 now, when she sees me leaving, she'll say, Mom, you're only a phone call away, right? I'm like, yep, I'm only a phone call away. So yeah, that part.
All right, so viewers, we will quickly go on a short break. And when we come back, we will go fully into today's topic. I'll see you on the other side. Don't go away.
Chess Kings Car Rental. We provide cars, SUVs, and trucks for rent. We will deliver the car to you at your house, office, airport, or any other location that works best for you. Our priority is to make our customers extremely satisfied with car rental service. Try us today. To make a reservation, visit our website at www.chesskings.ca or call us on 204-887-7777.
you are welcome back, viewers. And before we went on that short break, she was telling us a lot of her experiences and, just to lay foundation for today. And so, in this second segment, we're actually going to glide into today's topic. So, sit back and don't go away. And in case you missed the first part, you have every right and opportunity to go back and rewatch. She has actually told us a lot about herself in that first part of this program. So, Seun, I know you are passionate about reversing the status quo of women's marginalization in modern societies.
Yes, ma'am.
Given your experience as a woman of color, was experienced marriage in both African and modern cultures.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your views on marriage, separation, and divorce? Maybe we'll start with marriage first.
As much as the value of marriage has been watered down because of the recent rise in divorce, we're not going to be able to ignore that. It's very important. And unfortunately, the true value of marriage, significance of marriage, continues to be watered down on a daily. Marriage is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
We need to talk about the positive impact of marriage. We talked about the negative impact of divorce, like when the separation happens, look at the financial impact. Look at the impact on the children. So now let's reverse all that and look at a home that works and just imagine what the beauty will be. There's no how we want to, talk about it. Two heads are always better than one. If you have two people who are working towards the same common values, who are intentional about making sure that this works, who are intentional about raising godly children who, who are useful to themselves, we're going to raise a great society
Yes.
as a whole. But now, if we're talking about the rate of broken marriage or broken homes, we don't want to talk about the impact on children. I'm thankful and I'm successful right now. I'm still grateful to God.
Thank God.
But there are a lot of people who are not successful.
Yes. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who have lost their children in the process.
Yes.
So, and you can now imagine the impact of that on the society. So we cannot underestimate the power of families, positive families.
Positive, yes.
Now, with all that being said, what makes a family? A man and a woman coming together, right? I think we focus so much on the fairy tale aspect. We focus so much on the amount of money we want to spend.
Yeah.
We don't ever discuss the real things. we brushed over it this morning when we were driving in. And your husband said something, and you both said something that people need to talk about. We don't talk about the important things, the future things, but we just focus on now. There's so many important things we need to talk about that has an impact whether that society will, that marriage will succeed or not. So yeah, I will always stand. And even when I was speaking about it, I stand for healthy marriages. Yes. And guess what? It is possible.
It is possible. Yeah.
Nobody's saying it's going to be perfect because we're two imperfect people coming together.
There actually no perfect marriage.
Yes,
there
ma'am.
There is no perfect marriage.
But if we had laid down and talked about the important things early on, we communicate.
Very important.
We don't communicate. People don't talk. We're not communicating. And if you find, let me use a practical example. When we are having a disagreement with our husband or our wives, how many of us are actually listening or waiting to respond? I'm going to repeat that. Are you actually listening to what the other person is saying, or are you waiting to respond? When you're waiting to respond, you're not hearing.
You're not hearing, yes.
You're like, just finish. Oh, yeah, I have a point too. But you never heard what they're saying.
Yeah.
So when they're done speaking, guess what? That problem is still going to arise because you never heard them.
Yeah.
Are you guys communicating? So yeah, I would always stand for beautiful marriages. I'm not forget all this. I am very passionate about the emancipation of women. And this is very dicey. Feminism has, I'll say it. Feminism is a beautiful thing, but it has a huge role to play in the destruction of families right now. Oh gosh, I didn't think I was going to say this, but I will. I'm feminist, but and I talked about wisdom of women earlier. You can be feminist and talk about women being powerful in the society. I'm currently working on my doctorate, but does that stop me from being submissive to my husband? Does that stop me from believing that the man is the head of the home? But if they're hearing me now, those very toxic feminists, yeah, some of you are toxic, will tell you, what are you saying? We're partners. Nobody's the head of the home. Marriage is a structure.
Yes.
And for every just like every organization, we need a structure to function.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, when we talk about feminism and you're strong, you're powerful, you cannot be in that home and want to be butting heads with the man. I know somebody's going to question me now and say, but you still ended up divorced. I ended up divorced because it was unhealthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would never stand for physical, any kind of abuse in marriage. No, I won't. But when it comes to regular functioning, day-to-day functioning of marriage, we need a structure. Women need to apply a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And so in the place of marriage, yes, marriage is beautiful.
Okay, so
Marriage is beautiful.
okay, so that's the first part. So
What's second
what's your views on separation?
Separation should be one of the first phase. We get to a point sometimes where marriage is for better, for worse.
It is.
And somebody will ask me, well, okay, if it's for worse, why didn't you stay? Again, there is sometimes, and this is where I was going, sometimes marriage might get to a point where it becomes very toxic for you both. It starts to be have a negative impact on your mental health. Both of you feel like you're in hell. The communication has broken down. There's no longer friendship. You're living like roommates. All of these things I'm saying, it's happening. When you get to that point, sometimes you might need separation. Separation, not necessarily to go towards divorce.
Yeah.
Separation to give each other space. Separation to give each other space to think. To breathe. To have moments of introspection and retrospection. To have moments and say, okay, is it only the partner or is it only the other person that is wrong, or do I have a part to play?
Yeah.
Which is what I wanted to address. I know in the first part I talked a lot about, what went wrong. Towards my healing, and it's helped me. I've had moments of retrospection, introspection and retrospection. What could I have done differently?
Better. Yeah.
How did I contribute? Were there time maybe I should have shut my mouth too and I'm running my mouth? Maybe, yeah.
We talk so.
Not justifying abuse in any way. But it will be I think it will be unfair too to say, it's all on the other person.
Yes.
Because again, it's two people. So yeah, I had moments like that. So separation is okay as long as the motive is not solely towards heading towards divorce.
All right. Okay, so and finally divorce. Your views on divorce.
Divorce.
That big topic.
Divorce is necessary only when it's absolutely necessary. I can't believe I would be saying this, but I will. After 5 years of being separated, divorced, on total going on my 6th year, my ex-husband is remarried.
Oh, wow.
Men can, unfortunately, yes, they can move on, but look at the circumstances. I'm not saddled, I'm blessed. I have the children with me. I cannot just go get married. I have to consider the man that's going to come into their lives. Have I met people? Yes, I have. I've met people who I'm like, no, not a good fit, right? So even as the man might be able to move on, I can't move on that easily. So now I've been out there also. I can't believe I'm navigating the dating world again. It's very strange. I wish if there's anything that makes me unhappy sometimes, it makes me very unhappy.
Oh, wow. Why?
That I'm at my age, man. I'm in my 40s and it's okay for us to encourage women and say, it's okay, get out of the marriage, don't worry, there'll be men that'll marry you. It's great, there'll be men that marry you, but it's not easy. It's hard. So, which is why I'm saying now, divorce should be the absolute last option. As long as it's not abusive or threat to your life in any way. If it's a threat to your life, your sanity, take a break. But when you're taking a break, when that separation, like we said, the goal is not for divorce.
Not for divorce.
What are you both doing to fix or help that situation? Are you getting professional help? Are you having dialogues every week? Are you meeting each other to say, okay, all right, we're separated now. This is week 1. What have we learned? This is week 2, or maybe start from 1 month. Because again, if you separate and you don't come back,
So separation shouldn't be total silence.
no, it should not.
This should be this time when they come together, talk about things, analyze
Once
issues.
all the emotions
where
have
are
been
they?
dealt with, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And
It's
I think
important.
that will actually help the relationship more.
Yes.
All right. This is huge today.
Yes. ma'am.
So I'm going to ask you this question.
Mhm.
So do you still communicate with your ex-partner?
So I remember I said, so with divorce comes a lot of emotions. Okay, emotions not talked about. Strong emotions. Especially depending on who feels they were the victim.
Right.
When divorce happens, everybody feels like they are the victim. So whoever has the stronger emotions might not deal with it too nicely. Words will be said in anger. And when that happens, sometimes you might have to go the silent path. Sometimes you block each other 20 times. Sometimes, yeah, I have blocked my ex on all mediums, social media, Facebook, Instagram, because I did not want to deal with the pressure. Again, there's anger from that side. Oh, you destroyed my life. I brought you from Nigeria. You came and messed up my life. And it's valid. I'm hoping he watches. It's very valid. It will be very wicked of me to say it's not valid. So when that happens, when we're dealing with all that emotions, it can affect communication. However, time heals. People heal, and it becomes easier. So I'm still going to answer your question. At a time, we're not communicating because we're not friends. He did not want to talk to me. And there were times I didn't want to talk to him either. But right now, we are slowly but surely. I still try to sometimes accord him the respect of, oh, this is happening with your kids, send pictures here and there. He responds if he can. If he can, he would not. But now I think in the past month or 2 months, we have this mature way of maybe communicating, and it's only about the children, nothing else. Yeah.
So based on that, can you share any advice for maintaining a healthy relationship? Healthy communication.
All right, I have there's this thing I'm very passionate about, and I'll talk about it. When divorce happens, we're not able to separate our emotions as the spouse versus being a parent. And at the end of the day, we have to consider the best interest of the children. I do see, and we find that a lot of some women, use the children as pawns when things are not okay with the ex-husbands or their husbands. That's never a good thing. Well, this is, in my opinion, what I advise. As long as it's not the father or the other parent is still willing to be in the lives of those children, don't stand in the way of it. That's number one key tip. Again, we have emotions that we sometimes don't know how to process. And unfortunately, this happens more with women. And I apologize my gender. I love you guys. And you guys know I say this all the time.
Maybe because we're just naturally emotional.
We're emotional. Yeah. So they're like, Kenny, show him for me. Does he give me money? He doesn't even pay me money. Does he give me money for the children? So he doesn't need to see them. Nah. Because at the end of the day, the children will not understand that there's a place of money and there's a place of the presence in their lives. The children might not even tell you. Let me shock you guys.
Did we actually go look for them?
I was talking to my oldest daughter recently, and she just brushed. She said, "Yeah, me and Daddy talk every day." I'm like, But hey, I heard it. I'm like, okay, but I didn't let anything show. I'm like, I kind of expected this, and which is why I never stood in their way. So don't stand in the way. Deal with your emotions separately. And I said this. Someone might be a bad spouse, but they might be a great parent.
Yes.
Just allow it. When the children get older, as they get older, they can process who did
Yes.
what, who was wrong, who
Yeah.
was not wrong. But guess the shocker again. Blood is thicker than water. Let me just tell you. If you don't want to be the outcast, just stay away.
And if one needs that want to be extremely careful when it comes to parents and the children in a divorce situation,
Yeah.
each party has to be very careful, especially the one that has the children.
Yes.
I've once said this to somebody, like, let the father have access to the children, because one day, don't be so surprised that these children will go look for their father.
Oh yeah, and you'll be
And
the
by
bad
the time
person.
the father now tells her, I begged your mom, I did this, you will become the bad person.
Thank you.
So let them just have access. Sorry, let the father have access to the children and watch. With time, they'll process it. It's just a matter
I'm
of time.
so glad you're saying this because and I think this is something we need to talk more about as women.
Yeah.
A lot of women get very emotional again, and I think this is where let's put the caveat. Because I've heard some women say, "Oh, I let them have access." When they go, their father will talk bad about me to
Yeah.
them. The children will come and start having an attitude, and it takes me a month to shake them off their attitude. So if that's the case, we might say, maybe it's not a
okay.
good
Yeah, sure.
one.
Yeah.
But honestly, if it's not none of that, I'm glad you said it. Because yes, if you are, and be careful what you say around
And
to
around the
those children.
Yes.
Because when they get older and they can process, those children you thought you labored for, you'll be surprised you lost them.
Yeah.
And that could be one of the most painful things ever.
Very painful.
I had to tell my children, and I'm saying this, I tell my children every day, with how hurt I was. I'll ask them, when was the last time you spoke to your dad? Even the little baby. At a point when they got to a certain age, older children, will be like, Mom, can you stop? That's when I backed off. But now they talk to him every day.
Wow.
So,
All right. So, how did you prioritize your self-care and personal well-being amidst this season?
oh gosh, honestly, in hindsight, I don't think I prioritized it for a long time. I don't think so. I was thinking more about the children and everybody else, so I just went in default robot mode. I wasn't really thinking about me. Maybe the fact that I was away from home helped me a little bit because I had times to myself.
Okay.
So maybe I think that helped me. So maybe that was in a way was my self-care
Okay.
because I didn't have to. I'm sorry, daughters. I love you guys. Yeah, I did not have to worry certain times. I could breathe. I could do what I wanted to do. And yes, I traveled. Whenever I could travel, I traveled. That I did.
Okay. So, marriage often comes with, when there is marriage, there is joint investments and acquisitions. So, how did you handle dividing assets and properties during that process?
Thankfully, that was one part I didn't think we didn't have to worry about. Honestly, for some reason, that part went by really easily. Now, with that being said, it doesn't always work out. Remember, I mentioned emotions.
Yes.
And some people use properties, assets to try to hurt the other person.
Party.
So it depends on how they feel. For me, that was never a problem. We didn't. That was the easiest part actually. So that went well. Now, if I was to advise, am I free to speak my mind?
Yes, you are.
If I was to advise incoming couples, I would say this, and I'm saying this smartly. Nobody goes into marriage with a goal to divorce.
No.
And everybody's working hard now. People are making 6 figures, 7 figures. You're building your thing as a single man and as a single woman. You're eventually going to come together when marriage happens. The ideal situation is bringing all and coming together. However, when divorce happens, it's bad. So what I'm advising, so that you don't feel like you lost it all, keep some things for yourselves. it's a smart way to go. People might question this, but marriage is, we're coming together as one. Yes, but you don't have to bring all. Maybe you worked and built 100. Each of you keep 50-50 somehow. God forbid marriage happens. You don't feel like you lost all. I've seen that when when divorce happens and people feel like they gave all and they lost all, too much anger is involved. And I'm sure we heard so many people, so many situations where men killed their wives, right? And those men got to a point where they felt they lost everything. They didn't have anything else going for them. Now we're seeing more women are doing the same thing. In the past year, there's been an increase of women hurting their husbands, causing bodily harm. So we need to start looking more deeply and more intentionally and more wisely about this. Financial assets, whatever. Discuss it, or you're not doing this secretly. Oh, I built empire. I had $1 million built up. I'm bringing 80, whatever, and I'll keep 800 and I'll keep 200 to myself. Somewhere is yielding while we put 800. There's nothing wrong with that. Discuss it. Yeah.
All right. So let's digress a little bit and
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
talk about mental health in marriage. What can you say about mental health in marriage? Because I've seen a lot of women go through terrible situation, and at the end of the day, that happens. So how can we walk around our mental health even while in marriage?
Because we come from a culture, religion, society, in the African American society, Black society, that speaks strongly against divorce. We speak strongly rather than advising that we address the issues that are happening. We are being advised to endure. That has a lot to do with our mental health. So people are not able to really speak up about what's happening. When you even want to speak about it, you go to one uncle, and this is not gender specific. Because a lot of times we say, women, when we go to our mothers or aunties, we say, no, your mother, I went through the same thing. Deal with it. I know the men don't talk a lot, but when the men go to an elder, somebody they see, I'm sure the men too, they get the same advice. Like, don't mind them. That's how women are.
Exactly.
And right there, they're dismissive of what that person is complaining of.
Yeah.
And guess what? It doesn't mean that it has stopped.
No.
So they keep enduring, and they're taking it on. And we've talked about it today.
Yeah.
When it's not being addressed, then mental health, Bafuka, breaks down. We have a husband who's no longer functioning. We have a man who throws everything out the window. Sometimes we're not justifying cheating. Some men just become wild at that point.
Yeah.
Because they're done giving or sacrificing. Some women also, they can't express it. There was a particular case that happened, and I have to talk about this just because we're talking about it, on the East Coast. A registered nurse was doing well for herself, but I think she was with the husband. In fact, I have two stories, but I'll share one. With the man who was constantly cheating on her.
Oh, wow.
She was enduring, and then one day she went on the email and saw that I think her husband she saw that he's in a serious relationship with someone.
Someone else.
At that moment, something switched over.
Geez.
As I speak to you, that woman she's homeless. She has a mental health condition.
God.
They've taken her to Nigeria and they brought her back. She roams the street.
Oh.
She was an established registered nurse.
Oh.
Guess what? The woman she worried about is now the one who has been taking care of her children.
That's the way
for
life
years.
is. Life continues.
Please know your limit. Please know when to seek professional help. I know we talked about it that, maybe now we are pampering people too much, but the same way we are escalating or talking a lot, placing a lot of emphasis on mental health, we also need to place the emphasis on the fact that there is a lot of mental health resources out there that you can take advantage of. A lot of us that work in this in this parts of the world, you don't even know that they have your company has wellness therapists
Yeah.
that you can talk
Employee
to.
assistance.
Employee assistant programs.
Yes.
Take advantage of it. Look for a therapist. Talk to a therapist. They say we don't do that in our society.
Yeah.
Men, it's okay. Talk to a therapist. Women, don't go to a pastor. I have nothing against pastors, men of God. No, I don't have anything against you. But some men of God are equipped to teach the word. They might not be necessarily equipped to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
So seek a professional that knows what they're doing. Get help.
Okay, thank you, Seun. So lastly,
Yes, ma'am.
for today, so for couples going through challenges in their marriage, what would you advise?
Challenges are a part of life. We face challenges in every area of our lives. You face challenges at work. You face challenges in the church. We face challenges at school. And marriage is no exception.
Yes.
You have to both understand you're coming from a whole different background. You're two imperfect people.
Yes.
Let's not cap. You're not perfect. But with that intentionality, you're coming together, and you understand that things will happen.
Yeah.
It's not focusing on what's happening, it's focusing on solutions.
How to resolve it.
We say something, we say pray for the best, hope for the worst. I want to start also saying, while we are praying for the best, hoping for the worst, let's also think about possible solutions for situations that might arise. What if this happens? How do we address it? People are not talking to each other. Social media is doing a lot of damage.
A lot of harm.
To families and marriages. Couples are not even talking anymore. Our phones have taken over. It's part of what I'm going to be talking about at the event tomorrow. How many of you actually still talk to your spouses? Many of you are busy online, liking, loving Seun's post up and down. You've not even talked to your woman. And everybody's guilty of this. We're all guilty.
We are all guilty.
So we need to start putting those technology down, the phones down, and start talking more. There is an illusion of options out there. Social media has made the world smaller, so we feel like there's options out there. So instead of fixing your challenges, you want to replace that person. Guess what? There's too many people walking around with trauma. So please work on the challenges. Be intentional about working on them.
Be intentional.
Seek the right help. We sometimes so quick to run to, this uncle, that pastor. Please, let's start getting towards seeking professional help or talking amongst ourselves. Yeah. It's possible. At work, when you have problems, do you just quit the job?
No.
Why don't we quit? Because we need the money. Let's start looking at marriage like, I need this. This is important to me. Let's be very wary. There's this narrative that divorce. Divorce is not necessarily a good thing, I'm telling you. I mean, it's good for what it's good for. But if you can avoid it, avoid it.
All right. Thank you very much, Seun. Thank you so much. Today has been huge and so expository. And I believe that our viewers out there would have taken one or two things from you.
Thank you.
I believe by the next time we call you, you will definitely fly back to Canada.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. That was really nice.
Thank you, Seun. So this is where we'll draw the curtains, but don't go away. I will be right back. Viewers, before I draw the curtains on this month's episode of The Platform, remember that marriage is a sacred union, a commitment made before God and each other, built on love, respect, and mutual understanding. It is a journey filled with joys, challenges, and opportunities for growth. Separation and divorce are deeply painful and complex realities that many couples face in their journey together. While they can sometimes be necessary to preserve the well-being and foster personal growth,
They should never be taken lightly or pursued impulsively. Before considering separation or divorce, it's vital for couples to exhaust all avenues of communication, seek counseling, and explore reconciliation with genuine effort and humility. Marriage requires continuous effort, patience, and a willingness to understand and forgive. It's essential to remember the vows made, to honor the commitment made before God and loved ones, and to seek guidance from Him in times of trouble. In cases where separation or divorce becomes unavoidable due to irreconcilable differences, abuse, or other grave circumstances, it's crucial to approach the process with empathy, compassion, and respect for each other's dignity and well-being, especially if the children are involved. Even in the midst of pain and uncertainty, it's important to seek support from trusted friends, family members, and professionals who can offer guidance, wisdom, and emotional support. Above all, let us all remember that God's grace is abundant and His love endures through every trial and tribulation. As we navigate the complexities of marriage and separation and divorce, let us lean on His strength and wisdom, trusting that He can bring healing, restoration, and new beginnings to those who seek Him with sincere hearts. Till I come your way again next month, let us continue to inspire and transform the world with love. And I remain your host, Bumi Odunton. God bless you.